Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell to make sure you're notified when a new video goes live. I post new videos every single week on a Sunday at 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do the joining method for crochet. So this is where you have your granny squares together, but you join them as you go along rather than joining them all up at the end. So if you're excited to get going, give me a thumbs up below and let's do this. Okay, so for this continuous granny square joining method, you're going to need some granny squares that you've pre-made. You're going to need the yarn that you're going to have as your border yarn. You're going to need your pair of scissors for snipping off ends, your needle for your sewing in of your ends, and the crochet hook for whatever size you use to make your granny squares. Use the same side for this method, otherwise your stitches are going to start looking a bit awkward. I used a 5mm for my granny squares. So I'm using a contrasting yarn for my border. Now I've already started doing my continuous granny squares, so I make these squares with 1, 2, 3 rounds of the basic granny square. I'll put a link to the basic granny squares at the top, and then the 4th round is this green round here, which is how we join continuously, and you can see here that these are joined together using this method. So on the first one you make, you just need to do your 4th round as normal. And then when you come to join your second one, you would do side 1, 2, 3 as normal, side 4 you would do to join in. So let me show you how that's going to look. So I need to join my yarn to whichever stitch I want to join it to. So I'm going to make my slip knot. I'm going to join into here, into my chain space. And you continue as if you were just making your granny square but changing colour. So I'm going to chain 2 trebles in that same chain space. Chain 1, 3 trebles in the next chain space. Oops, getting caught there. Chain 1. And in the corner I'm going to do my 3 trebles. Oops. Now in my chain spaces I have used 3 chains. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm then going to take this granny square here, because I want to join up here. I'm going to insert my hook underneath the chain space of this square, yarn over, and I'm going to twist my hook because I want to bring it back through that chain space there, and I want to bring that yarn through my loop. So I'm doing a slip stitch through that loop there. Then I'm going to chain again, and that would be our 3 chains. So I chained 1, the slip stitch counts as the 2nd chain, then I've done a 3rd chain to finish off my corner space. I then go back to my granny square, the lilac colour here, and I continue with my 3 trebles I need to finish off my corner. Now ordinarily I would chain 1 here to travel to the next chain space. Instead I'm going back to the granny square above. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and twist it through, and slip stitch through the loop on my hook. Then I'm going to continue with my 3 trebles for that granny space. Just unwind some more yarn. 1, 2, 3. So you can see how this is starting to join together. So I've done my 3. I now need to go into the next chain space here on the orange one. So I'm going to go into that chain space. I'm going to hook my yarn over and bring it through, and then twist and bring it through to make a slip stitch. Then I can continue to do my next 3 trebles. Okay, I need again to travel, so I'm going to go into this last chain space here. So I'm going to go through the top and underneath, grab the yarn and bring it through, then make the slip stitch, and I'm going to go into my corner. Same as this corner, I'm going to start with my first 3 trebles. That's 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles. Going to chain 1. Now in this corner here, you see you have all these different spaces. So what I've done with the pink and the orange is I did my slip stitch diagonally to each other. So to go diagonally from the lilac, I'm going to go to the yellow. So I'm going to go into this chain space here. Okay, yarn over, pull back through, that's right, and then do my slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1. I had chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1. Now I'm going to continue with the corner with the next 3 trebles. Where I would chain 1 to travel, I'm going to slip stitch into the chain space on the other side. Oops. Continue with my next 3 trebles. I can actually pick the yarn up. So yarn over, that's 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles, slip stitch into the next chain space, so insert my hook, yarn over and round. Then I need to continue with my next 3 trebles into this chain space here. Now I need to go into this chain space. We've done 1, 2, this is the 3rd chain space. So insert the hook from the top. I'm going to take my yarn round, put it through, make the slip stitch. Now I'm going to go into that corner and do my first 3 trebles for the corner space. So yarn over into the corner. Oops. That's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, insert my hook into that corner space, yarn over, put it back through that chain space, slip stitch with the one that's on my hook, and then you might need to keep turning your work around so that you can see where you're going and which direction you need to. Chain 1 after the slip stitch to make the 3 chains, and then we need to continue as we would ordinarily if we were just doing the 4th round of our granny squares. So that's 3 trebles. If I can get my hook to stay in, chain 1 into the next chain space, okay, I'm going to speed the video up here now just till I get round this corner here. See you in a mo. Okay, so I've done my final 3 trebles. I've chained 1, going to join into the top of this 3 chain that I made at the start, finish it off and snip the ends. Okay, so there we have how to join with your continuous continuous granny squares around the outside. So you crochet 1, 2, 3 rounds. Your 4th round, as you come to your other squares, you start joining on into those chain spaces with a slip stitch. When you get to the corners, you need to go diagonally if you've got lots of corners to go through. Obviously when here we just went into the one corner, and here because there was only one corner to go to. But when I add my next granny square here, I will go into the lilac corner here and not into the pink one. So there is the continuous granny square. Don't forget, you can go back and watch this video as many times as you need to. You can pause. There's also the option to do a slow motion part of the video. If you go onto my Facebook page, Facebook group, there's a little video there showing you how you can slow down YouTube videos if there's particular parts that you need to have a look at in more detail. If you get stuck and you need to ask a question, come into my Conquer Crochet Facebook group, the Conquer Crochet community group, and we can answer your questions as promptly as we can. In next week's video, I'm going to be showing you a very clever way of joining together granny squares to form patterns. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because you really don't want to miss out. On the side here are 2 other videos for you to watch so that you can continue on your crochet journey, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me and happy hooking!